What you believe will mean the difference between success and failure. When I say that you were born for greater, you have to believe it with every fiber of your being. You have to believe and know it not just in your head, but in your heart, in your soul, and in your gut. Because if you don't, the odds of you ever being anything more than mediocre are slim to none. Anyone who is successful will tell you that they didn't just fall into being successful. No, they believed their way into being successful. Believing that I was born for greater saved my life. My mom was smart, but she didn't finish high school because at 16, she ran away from home in search of a better and safer life. Life proved to be not much better and certainly not much safer. She would later get pregnant from a man who would discard his responsibilities of being my father like he was taking out the morning trash. Life was hard and my mother had every reason to quit and give up, but she didn't. One of my earliest memories is of her grabbing a small blue suitcase and stuffing me into a white winter coat. She kneeled down to get on my level, and as she tightened the drawstrings on my hoodie, she looked me in my eyes and she said, "Ladybug, you were born for greater than this." Then we fled in the middle of the night. I'm born for greater. I'm born for greater. Those words echoed so deep within me that they became part of my DNA, part of how I'm wired. You see, my mom would eventually meet a man who thought the world and the whole universe revolved around her, and he loved both of us deeply and completely. But life was still hard. I learned that in life, it's not about where you start that matters, and it's not even so much about where you finish. It's about how you finish. My start wasn't so promising. I grew up on the south side of Albany, Georgia, in a little white house on Cochran Avenue. I thought my parents went to the grocery store every day because they loved shopping. I eventually realized that it was because they only had enough food to feed us for that day. My parents would pile my brothers and I into my dad's little pickup truck, and we would scour the neighborhood on Thursdays and Fridays, looking for other people's trash discarded alongside of the road so that we could clean it up and sell it at the flea market on Saturdays. And they taught me to do it with excellence and with my head held high. Why? Because they knew something that unfortunately many of you in this room will never get. That just because you find yourself in a certain place, that doesn't mean that you belong in that place. When you believe that you were born for greater, you are influenced more by the people where you're going than by the people where you're from. What you do today matters. Your words matter. Your actions matter. You matter. And there's someone somewhere in the world right now who is waiting on you to figure that out and to believe it. Life is both a teacher and a tester. Life will teach you the lessons that you must learn and test your resolve for what you say you believe. My birth father abandoned me. My babysitter abused me. My teacher belittled me. My coworker backstabbed me. My client lied on me, and my best friend turned on me. Life's not fair, and people will hurt you. But what you can't let them take from you is your will to fight, your will to win, your will to survive. Because they don't get to choose who you will become. Only you get to choose how your life will matter. What if the negative things happening are not so much about what people are doing to you, but more about what God is trying to do for you and eventually through you? Mr. Wilder was my 9th grade English teacher, and I'll never forget standing at his desk in between classes and hearing him tell me that I would never amount to anything, that I'd probably spend the rest of my life on welfare or drugs. All Mr. Wilder could see was the pregnant teen standing before him. But because I knew I was born for greater, I could see the honor graduate who would achieve a near perfect SAT score and go on to receive a full scholarship to attend college. I could see the woman who one day would grace the cover of her alma mater's magazine. I could see the woman who would one day be ranked number 8 among the top 30 brand gurus in the world. And I could see the woman who one day would earn an honorary doctorate in divinity. Years later, I drove 843 miles to go back to Westover High School to say hi to Mr. Wilder. I wanted to look him in the eyes and tell him, "You didn't get to choose." Being a teen mother is where I was in that moment. but being stuck in the cycle that often comes with it wasn't where I belonged. You see, I couldn't escape those words as they rang in my ears, and I knew in my heart that they were true. I was born for greater. I was born for greater. Don't let another person's opinion of you define what you can or cannot do, or shape who you will or will not become. Only you get to choose. You get to choose how you will respond when you're faced with the impossible, have to carry the unbearable, and when life tries to take the last ounce of hope that you have. And when you choose to focus on what you've gained and not what you've lost, and what you've learned and not how you failed, you will find that for every Mr. Wilder, there's also a Mrs. Tunstall, my English teacher who 3 years later would push me to become a better writer, and without whom I would have never had the courage to become an author and write over a dozen books. When you decide that where you are is not where you want to stay, and you decide that you are ready to do or be something greater, you have to prepare yourself for battle, because your old self will always be at war with your new self. Every time you decide to move forward, opposition will show up. Every time you decide to stop playing small, opposition shows up. And every time you decide to step up to a new level of success, opposition shows up. Don't take it personal. Struggle is just a part of the cycle of success. But your commitment to win must be greater than the opposition you face. I know at times you're thinking, I'm getting a whole lot more of the struggle than I'm getting of success. Believe me, I get it, because I've been there. 3 days after my husband quit his job to become partners with me in launching Audacious Faith, the biggest movement and most important work that I had ever led, doctors found 3 tumors and told me at one point that cancer had metastasized throughout my whole body. A week later, I had to airlift my dad from a small regional hospital in Albany, Georgia, to Barnes Jewish Hospital in St. Louis to save his life. Fortunately for me, the diagnosis was false and my tumors were all benign. But I want you to hear what was going through my head. I said, "Death, you have no sting, because if it turns out that I'm healed, I win. And should my time on this earth come to an end, I still win, because my confidence in my destination when this life is over is secure." I'm a daddy's girl at heart, because I spent a lot of time with my dad in his work shed, where I learned valuable life lessons that have really fueled my success. My dad taught me that how you do anything is how you do everything. You can't just show up and work like everyone else. You can't be average and expect to get to the top. You have to give it all you've got. You have to give it everything you've got, and then some. Everyone wants to live like a winner, but few people are willing to work like a winner. When is the last time you visited your local library and bench pressed some books to help you get smarter? Are you part of a mastermind to help sharpen your skills and stretch you to be better? When was the last time you did something that scared you because you were tired of playing small and playing it safe? You can't hide in the shadows any longer, hoping someone else will step up and take charge and help change your life. You get to choose how your life will matter. And at some point in life, you have to realize that your success isn't just about you or even for you. My grandchildren benefit from my success. I've started a company for each of my grandchildren that when they graduate from college, my gift to them won't be a card with $100 and a woohoo. No, when they graduate from college, my gift to them will be their own company. My success is their success, and they're going to gain far more from my success than I ever will. Before I go to bed every night, I ask myself, Lethia, did you do your best today? And the answer is often yes. Then I say, Lethia, can you do better tomorrow? And the answer is always yes. You are here listening to me today because on some level, I really believe that you want to be better. You were born for greater. Never settle for less. And always remember that you get to choose how your life will matter.